You are a failure. No matter what you do, there will always be someone better than you, and you will fall short of your goals over and over and over again. You think that you should be further along than you really are, and it's your fault for not being there. And this is the reason why you're so unsatisfied with your life. You're too busy looking at what other people are doing, and you can't see all the progress that you've actually already made. And in today's video, I'll be breaking down why we feel so unsatisfied in our lives and how we can learn to embrace our failures just so we can get the progress that we want. And I'll be doing this with a little help from a little known anime called The Pet Girl, a Sakura-sō. So The Pet Girl of Sakura-sō is a story that follows Sorata Kanda, a high school student who moves into the chaotic Sakura dormitory, where every resident is as wacky as they are brilliant. Sorata finds himself tasked with taking care of Mashiro Shina, a brilliant yet socially inept artist, and honestly, who is the pet girl of the entire series. This leads to a bunch of crazy adventures that you really wouldn't believe. But one of the main issues that this story actually tackles is the idea of being ordinary when you're surrounded by the extraordinary. Like I mentioned earlier, Sakura Dormitory is home to a bunch of crazy characters who are all geniuses in their own right. You got the eccentric artist Misaki, the playboy writer Jin, the reclusive programmer Akasaka, the overworked, expiring voice actress Nanami, and of course, the genius artist Mashiro. And keep in mind, all of these kids are still in high school, and it's really amazing all the things that they've already accomplished. And with so much talent around them, it's pretty understandable why Sorata feels like he is inferior to his dorm mates. He initially didn't even have a passion to call his own, and when he did find his passion for video game design, he still felt like he was out of place. And I know for me, this happens whenever I discover something that is new, that I'm interested in, it seems pretty cool, that I want to try out. And I always, never fails, have this unrealistic belief that I need to master it immediately, that I need to go out there and crush this thing like someone who's been doing it for years already. And honestly, it's not a really good habit to have because it subtracts from the joy that I potentially have. I tend to compare my beginning to someone else's middle, thinking that I need to be as good as them, even though they've been doing this way longer. I mean, come on, Nate. Let's be a little more realistic. And speaking of being realistic, I really love how the Pet Girl Sakura-sō gives a realistic depiction of how we can handle failure, because it is not the easiest thing to acknowledge, but it is something that is very integral to our lives. It asks this question: what do you do when you give your everything into something just to have it rejected? I mean, just think about it. So after Sorata set his sights on his own game design, he decided this is what I'm going to pursue. He decides to enter a video game contest where contestants pitch their ideas to a board of judges in the hopes of having their idea being made into an actual game, which is pretty exciting. Now, Sorata works tirelessly to learn more about the field and to prepare his presentation. And after long hours and constructive feedback from his dorm mates, Sorata finally presents his project to the judges, only to be met with disappointment, leaving him devastated. And this doesn't just happen once, it happens over and over and over again. And not even just to Sorata, but to Nanami too. Again, the only other sane resident of Sakura Dormitory, because they both work tirelessly on their passions. Sorata with his game design, Nanami with her voice acting, but time after time, they fall just short of their goal. Nanami can't get the roles or the work that she needs to continue her voice acting career, and Sorata keeps getting rejected by the contest, by the gatekeepers of the video game realm, so to speak. And it's not because of a lack of effort. They're putting their everything into this to the point they get sick sometimes, and it's still just not working out. And meanwhile, Mashiro and the other residents of Sakura Dormitory are constantly getting awards and praises, and deals, and all their projects are fruitful. And after a while, these things take a huge toll on your mind, on your mental state, because again, when we put our all into something, we want our efforts to be recognized and praised. We want to feel like we've actually accomplished something. But when that doesn't happen, we feel disappointed in ourselves and begin to doubt our talents and forget about all of the progress we've already made. We get in our heads and start fighting with ourselves, believing that we were never good enough in the first place, or we think that no matter what we do, no matter what we try, no matter how hard we work, it all just seems so pointless. But what I want you to understand is that these feelings are natural, and honestly, they're nothing to be ashamed of. Because, I mean, we're all human and this is what we go through, but we can't let them define us. Because whether we like it or not, we will constantly experience failure. And honestly, that's a good thing, because this is where growth happens. We try something, we struggle with it, we fail, we keep going, we eventually succeed, and then we just repeat it all over again. And this happens to Sorata by the end of the series. He goes from this indecisive young man who didn't know what he wanted to do with his life, someone who follows through on his goals no matter how hard they seem. I mean, he worked his butt off more than anyone else in the show, and despite rejection after rejection, he continues to improve his skills and now has more confidence in himself and what he's capable of. He no longer feels like he needs to compare himself to somebody else. And he just keeps moving forward, one day at a time. And honestly, that's all we have to do. The way I like to think about it is to have a successful life, we must learn to live with failure. That's because success isn't linear. It's filled with its ups and downs and setbacks and restarts and everything in between. But in the end, success doesn't define you. It's okay to feel dissatisfied from time to time, but you can't stay there. There's so much more to life than basing your happiness off of how you compare to others. Like Sorata, we just got to push through these feelings of doubt and keep pursuing that dream of ours, whatever it may be. But if you're not quite sure on what your passion is or how to find it, then check out this video in the card above or in the link below to see how Yuji Itadori finds his purpose.